Hello everyone and welcome
Said,
back to
let's jump
another
right
video.
into this video.
And happy Thanksgiving to those of you who celebrate it. I hope it's a great holiday. Today we're going to be taking a look at all of the secrets and Easter eggs in two of the most popular Zelda games, Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask.
Oh, and hey, if you guys don't mind, if you find these kind of videos interesting, can you hit the subscribe button? 98% of the people who watch my content are not subscribed to me. So, if you enjoy my content, why not just hit the subscribe button? It really helps me out. Well, with that being said, let's jump right into some secrets and Easter eggs. Before we even start up the game and get into it, the title screen actually has a secret in store for us. If you listen closely, you can hear these notes. If you have ever played Super Mario Bros. 3 or the original Legend of Zelda, you may recognize these as the slowdown version of the warp whistle.
The very first secret I would like to talk about is the multiple intro cinematics. The normal opening has been playing this entire time. However, to get the alternative one, you can simply just play with some settings and then go back to the start screen. Additionally, you can just let the title screen idle out and it will loop into this start screen.
There's a little drawing outside of Link's house. Many people speculated that it may be foreshadowing the final encounter with Ganon. But what do you guys think it's there for? And while we're here in Kokori Forest, did you ever find getting money for the Deku Shield in the beginning of the game a little bit tedious? Well, here's a few ways to speed up that process. There's 5 hidden rubies on side of the shop. You get another 5 for doing flips over these stones. And a couple other little secret ones hidden here and there.
Within the clock tower, if you look in the water, you can see little clumps of what I can only assume is moss. However, if you take a closer look at them, some people say that you can kind of make out a Nintendo 64 controller. The Happy Mask Salesman carries quite a few mysterious masks on him, one of which is clearly Mario, one that kind of resembles Elvis, and one that is the same face that is used on the mirror shield that you find later on in the game.
If you cut or accidentally blow up a sign, you can use Zelda's lullaby to repair it. This is a reoccurring secret in future Zelda games. Getting lost in the Lost Woods is something that happened to all of us at one point in time. But instead of trying to remember all of these directions, what if there was an easier way? Well, there kinda is. There's 2 different methods. The first is being able to listen to the music. The music will stay the same if you are on the correct path. However, if you are near the wrong path, it will start to get quieter. The second method is to look for the light. The light is on the incorrect path, and if there is no light at all on a path, then that means it is the correct path.
The man running the Curiosity Shop has an iron knuckle in the back of his shop. And in the Nintendo 3DS remake, if you go to Cafe's hideout and look through the peephole, he also has a statue of Rob the Robot. Speaking of weird items in shops, in the Nintendo 3DS version of the game, if you go to the Bomb Shop, you can notice a GameCube and a few other toys that Nintendo once created.
Speaking of the Lost Woods, did you know that you can actually kill the Skull Kid with a big Goron sword? Doing so, he will drop a big orange rupee upon death. But be aware, as all of the events of Majora's Mask will never occur. One of the guards who open the front gate will say the phrase, "It's a secret to everyone," a reoccurring phrase starting from the original Legend of Zelda game. Princess Zelda will also say, "It's a secret to everybody," upon meeting her for the first time.
If you pay close attention, you can notice butterflies will hang around some of the secret hole locations in the grass. And speaking of butterflies, this one's a bit hard to do, but if you can get one to land or touch a Deku stick, it will turn into a fairy. This one's really tough and it kind of blew my mind, but within the texture of the grass in Termina Field, you can find a hidden image of Skull Kid. I'll have to show you a little bit of an edited version of this to kind of point it out a bit more.
One of the most well-known Easter eggs is when meeting Zelda for the first time, you can see pictures and images of Mario characters on the windows of the castle. If you use a slingshot at the windows, a guard will throw a bomb at you. When Navi turns green in random locations like this, try playing your Ocarina. For example, at this location in Hyrule Field, let's play the Song of Storms and see what happens. Ah, it's a Mega Fairy. You can't capture this one as it's superior to the other fairies. This one will restore magic and health.
Any Star Fox fans here? Some of you may have already noticed this, but the Bremen, the Keaton, the Frog Mask, and the Bunny Hood all resemble the Star Fox crew in order: Fox, Falco, Peppy, Slippy, and Pigma. Did you know that depending on what form you are, you can change the color of the torch's base?
Speaking of making fairies spawn out of nowhere, if you let a butterfly land on a Deku stick, this is a lot harder than it looks, trust me, it will eventually turn into a fairy. If you spend enough time fighting the Stalfos in Hyrule Field at night, eventually a very large one will spawn that drops a blue rupee. This can also be done with other enemies in the games, such as levers and keys in the desert.
The bean seller's tattoo is kanji for the word bean. Kotake is so short that she has to stand on a box to reach the counter. Did you know that the owner of the trading post is also the owner of the curiosity shop? He just wears a hairpiece to make himself look different. Aside from that, they are the same model and person. To further back this, the curiosity shop only opens at 10 p.m. and the trading post closes at 9 p.m. From 9 p.m. to 10 p.m., you cannot enter either store. And after 10 p.m., if you were to enter the trading post, you will be faced with someone different who claims that they only work there part-time. Another neat thing to notice is that on night of the third day, the trading post will still be open, yet no one and nothing will be inside. And if you wear the bunny hood, the Stalfos won't come out and attack you at all. The laugh for stall children actually uses Phantom Ganon's laugh just sped up. Speaking of hanging out in Hyrule Field, if you wait until night and stand on the drawbridge while it gets pulled up, you can actually find a few hidden rupees. If you don't end up mailing Anju's letter, the postman will then mail himself a letter telling himself how good of a job he has done. as he is contemplating his final moments alive. If you go to the observatory and break some pots, you can find little pieces of paper on the ground with drawings on them, one of them being a dolphin. This is a reference to the Nintendo GameCube's codename, the Nintendo Dolphin. Speaking of the observatory, let's use the telescope to look around Termina. You can spot two guys that are trying to show you the location of hidden holes, and one guy in the top of a tree.
There's a pretty funny dialogue option when you talk to Princess Ruto while wearing the Zora mask as a kid. Many NPCs throughout the game will react differently with different masks on. Go on and try it yourself and see what you can come up with. If you play Epona's song in front of cows with an empty bottle, they will speak, tell you how it's a nice song, then give you a bottle of Lon Lon milk.
One of the most interesting features of this game is how realistic some of the NPCs will act due to the unfortunate doom that they may face. The swordsman is a perfect example of this, as he normally comes off as a very brave person. However, during the final hours, you can find him hiding and cowering away in his back room. Whenever the moon gets closer and the earth shakes, you can see the little cow heads shake. You can also roll into the walls to get the same effect.
Speaking of playing the Ocarina, you can actually change the pitch or tone of the notes by using the D-pad and the control stick. In the 3DS version of the game at Lon Lon Ranch, there's a Skyward Sword image in one of the bedrooms upstairs.
Here's another secret that I never knew about. Apparently, there's an alternative fireworks cutscene that plays out only on the first 3-day cycle. To get this cutscene to occur, the player has to either be in the underground passage that leads to the Astral Observatory, or they have to be inside of the Astral Observatory. Have you ever noticed the image of a tiger on the back of Granny's chair? This is actually a reference to her pet tiger in Ocarina of Time. She can be found petting a tiger cub in the medicine shop in Kakariko Village.
One of the most obvious secrets and Easter eggs is the emblem Malon wears is actually Bowser's face. Maybe she's just a fan of the Mario games. Talon and his big brother Indigo are obvious references to Mario and Luigi. Talon is big and round, wearing red and blue, and Indigo is tall and slim, wearing green.
Most people already know this, but did you know that you can mess with gossip stones? Just like in Ocarina of Time, various items will have various results.
After saving Lon Lon Ranch from Indigo, you then have access to Malon's time trial minigame. If you get under 50 seconds in this minigame, you'll be rewarded with a cow back in Link's house. I wonder how they got a cow up there and how he's going to get down to eat. In Dodongo's cavern, there is an Easter egg that not many people know about. Once you reach this section of the cave, you'll come across a sign. Let's take a closer look at this sign. Wait a second. I've seen this before. This is the famous L is real sign from Super Mario 64.
If you wear the Gorman Bros mask, it will change their facial expressions. Did you know that the Lon Lon Ranch actually reuses the same sign from Kakariko Graveyard in Ocarina of Time? On the 3DS version of the game, you can actually wear the Fierce Deity mask while you fish. I'm not sure why, but hey, I mean, if you want to fish like a deity, then so be it. There's also a secret fish you can catch. It's called the Lord Chapu Chapu, which is a direct reference to Lord Jabu Jabu from Ocarina of Time.
Did you know that baby Dodongos eat explosives just like King Dodongo? The keys or bats will not attack you when you have the skull mask on. This is very helpful in rooms like this, as those bats can get extremely annoying.
Speaking of Ocarina of Time, Romani has the same pendant as Milan from Ocarina of Time. And this medallion is obviously in the shape of Bowser. This one may be a bit obvious, however, for those of you who have never 100% completed the game, you may not know about this. Have you ever wondered why the grass dances around like this? Well, it's because you need the Keaton mask. After the grass dances around a bit, a Keaton will appear and give you a quiz. After answering all questions correctly, he will reward you with a heart piece.
And speaking of killing enemies, if you happen to shoot a light arrow at enemies, they will usually drop a big purple rupee.
When making your way through the Deku Palace for the first time, you might find yourself getting caught by the guards quite often. However, if you come back during night, you can actually see their line of sight. A little bit of a movement trick is if you spin off of a lily pad, you will actually create more speed and distance to hop across the water. Sadly, this was nerfed in the 3DS remake. Goron Link in Zora Link is tall enough to stand, walk, and even roll in the southern swamp without drowning. And you can use the Zora Link's boomerang and Link's bow and arrow and a couple other items to kill the giant Octorok blocking your path.
With early copies of this game, more specifically version copy of NTSC 1.1 or below, there are various changes to the game, such as hearing Islamic chants in the Fire Temple, Ganon's blood changing from red to green, the blood on the floor and the bottom of the well, and much more, like fixes with the text and cutscene skips. However, in virtual console releases of the game, versions 1.2 and above, they replaced the Gerudo Signs dungeon blocks and the Mirror Shield's crescent moon and star symbols with the Gerudo symbol that was used in Majora's Mask. The most common copies are usually NTSC 1.2. If you would like to check what version you have and the version differences, there will be a link down below.
If you ground pound with the Goron, you can flip Tektites over. This is similar to the effect used by the Megaton Hammer in Ocarina of Time. And in the 3DS remake, if you go to the Goron village in the back of the room, on the left side you can see a little stone version of the Wiimote. The members of the Indiegogo play songs from previous Zelda games. Here, take a listen.
After collecting 20 gold Skulltula tokens, you will be rewarded with the Stone of Agony, which resembles an N64 rumble pack. This is used to find secret holes and items by rumbling when you are near them. A viewer of my old video had pointed out an Easter egg to me that I had never known about. After rescuing the 4 carpenters in Gerudo Fortress, there is a woman who speaks to you. What's weird is, if you change which tunic color you are wearing, she will also change her dress colors to the one that you are wearing. For example, wear the blue tunic and she'll wear blue. A little bit of a more well-known Easter egg is that you can actually steal the fisherman's hat and if you lose his hat in the water, he won't wear it in the end credits.
The Ikanas Canyon River is actually a shortcut to the Southern Swamp. Speaking of the Ikana area, you can find this paper airplane on top of one of these posts. I'm not really sure what this is here for or the point of it, but it's just so strange and out of place. I wonder what this was meant for. If you interact with NPCs while wearing different masks, you will get some slightly different dialogue.
while we are here at the fishing hole, you can actually find the sinking lure in a couple different locations. You can use the Megaton hammer to flip Tektites over to stun them and get an easy kill.
And if you wear the Kamaro's mask, it will make the Scarecrow dance. If you wear the Deku or the Goron transformation masks, the Gibdos will not attack you. However, if you wear the Zora's mask, they will attack you. I'm assuming Zora Link is a similar model to Ocarina of Time's adult Link, so they just reuse the same animation. However, I think because Deku and Goron Link are different shapes and sizes, they didn't have the time to create separate animations. If you wear the Gibdos mask, you can make Redead's dance. If you wear the captain's hat during the fight scene, this cutscene will play out. And if you use the Bremen mask, they'll march along with you.
Walking backwards is the fastest method of transportation aside from glitches, Epona, and warping. That's why you will see a lot of speedrunners walking backwards. If you walk slowly or sneak around Redeads, they won't actually notice you. Or additionally, you can use the Sun Song to stun any Redeads. Great, now they won't be constantly humping my head. This is the first Zelda game to introduce Gossip Stones. These stones will tell you hints, secrets, lore, and even the time of day. But they actually do a lot more than that. You can interact with them many different ways to get multiple different results. This has been a recurring secret in the future titles.
On night of the third day, if you order the Skull Childs to break open the grave, you can find Dampé. After playing his little minigame challenge, he will run off in a panic after being spooked by a ghost, and you will be rewarded with a bottle. However, let's see where he went. Well, I never knew his house had a secret entrance to the bottom of the grave, and Dampé is so scared that he's hiding underneath his bed.
Okay, so I explained this heart piece in my original video, and a lot of people didn't seem to understand it. Originally, I didn't want to go over any glitches in this video, but I just wanted to clear the air with this one. This is an out-of-bounds heart piece that can only be collected by using cheating methods. Most people were mistaking this as heart piece number 34, where you use the Scarecrow to hookshot over to a chest. However, that is a completely different yet similar location to the other heart piece.
In this segment, I'm just going to cover a couple secret rubies that you may or may not already know about. If you shoot the targets outside of the Honey and Darling shop, you'll be rewarded with a few rupees. Speaking of the Honey and Darling shop, if you jump across those same targets, you can find a chest with a silver ruby hidden inside of it. There are two chests in South Clocktown that hold even more rupees, one of which is right in this corner, and the other is being on top of this pillar that you can only get to on the final day. In the laundry area of the game, you can see 3 red rupees behind this gate. I never knew how to get these. Well, it turns out that you have to wait until night of the second day, and then they will flow down the stream for you, ready for you to collect.
Within the Spirit Temple, you come across this statue, which you can hookshot her chest. Oh, and there is another Skyward Sword image in the Gerudo Fortress, exclusive to the 3DS version of the game. If you do a flip over the Cauldron of Lava in Gerudo's Fortress, you'll be rewarded with some rupees.
Outside of the town walls, you can find a stray bird flying around. If you play a temple song for him, he will drop a trail of rupees. Near the Snow Peak entrance, there's an image of Skull Kid and a few notes on the wall. If you play these notes, a few rupees will pop out of the wall.
A little bit of a fun fact is that when they were testing Z targeting in this game, they imported an R-Wing from Star Fox. Modders and hackers have found a way to import these back into the game. Have you ever tried beating the Running Man's challenge from Gerudo's Valley to Kokori Forest? Well, I bet you haven't beat it, because it's actually impossible to beat it. Again, hackers and modders have tested this out with cheating methods, but it's actually programmed into the game to lose to him every single time. There is no possible way to beat him. Within Ganon's castle, you can find a secret room using the Lens of Truth. Within this room is a few fairies and Deku shrubs that'll sell you items.
If you make the jumps around Terminus Field, each one will reward you with a few rupees. There is a bird near the entrance of Milk Road who will steal important items like bottles from you. However, if you attack him enough, he will drop a massive orange rupee. If you knock down the man in the tree near the observatory, you can steal his 2 red rupees. At night, if you shoot the skullback creatures with a light arrow, you can get a large rupee.
When fighting Ganondorf in Dead Man's Valley, you can use a bottle to reflect back his light attacks. This is originally a reference to how you can use the bug net to reflect back Agathim's attacks in A Link to the Past. However, many future Zelda titles have adapted this battle technique into its battles.
If you jump into the waterfalls near the southern entrance, you will also find a blue rupee. And lastly, shooting lanterns will also cause rupees to drop. Here are a few Ocarina secret songs. By playing the same 3 notes of the Song of Time, you can actually jump ahead to either dawn or night of the next day. And if you reverse the Song of Time, you will slow down the flow of time. If you dance with the Scarecrow, you can also advance time even faster. And to the Granny at the Stockpot Inn, you can also advance time even faster.
Ganon is the only enemy in the game where Deku Nuts will actually do damage. All enemies in the game will get stunned by them instead. After the end credits, leave the screen idle for a little bit and you can hear some Ocarina notes. These are the same notes that you created with the Scarecrow. This feature is not in the Virtual Console GameCube or 3DS versions of this
Just like
game.
in Ocarina of Time, using the D-pad and the control stick, it will change the pitch of the notes you play. If you cut a sign and you break it, you can play the Song of Healing to repair that sign. If you play the Song of Storms near a Gossip Stone, a big fairy will come out. This fairy is a bit different than most because not only does it heal you, but it also restores your magic as well.
And that's about all I got for you guys today. If I happen to miss any secrets or Easter eggs, please let me know down below in the comments. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like and share it with some friends. I've also made other Zelda Easter egg videos such as Breath of the Wild, Skyward Sword, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, and a few more. So if you enjoyed this video, I'd highly suggest checking out some of those other videos. And if I were you, I'd hit that subscribe button because I've got another Zelda Easter egg video coming out pretty soon that I think you guys might like.